We will not have a Wednesday service. There will be an online-only service for Wednesday. Therefore, you come in, you contaminate your little pew. That pew will not be used until the following Sunday. So we'll only be in the church building on Sundays from 11 to 12 o'clock. And looking forward to what the Lord will do there. But it's come to that hour that every evangelist looks forward to and every pastor mourns over. Because for us, it's the end. For you, you get to leave. You come. It's been a joy having you, and you've been an encouragement to my heart. God bless us with God's word.
All right, good evening, church. Take your Bible, would you please? Tonight we're going to go to the New Testament. One message in the New Testament, James chapter 4. James, the 4th chapter. If you find Revelation, you've gone too far. And if you can't find James, just get Obadiah and keep going to the right. And eventually you'll find the book of James. James chapter 4. Can't believe it's Thursday. The days fly by so fast, don't they? Feel like we just got here and we're already leaving. Actually, I'm going home just to be home for the weekend, Father's Day. And then Monday morning early, I'm getting up again and driving back to North Carolina. Because next week I speak at the Wilds over in Brevard. And it'll be their first week of summer camp. We have 400 and some teenagers coming, and it's the most unusual camp week they've ever done. And a lot of changes and different things they're having to do to meet the different requirements regarding COVID-19. And it's just an unusual time. I'm getting a kick out of a few of my fundamental independent Bible-believing Baptist preacher brothers. I've got a few of them that, bless God, we will never put the words on the screen. But now they are. And I've had one who said, we pass the offering plate. That's how we do it. We don't do the little box thing at the back. And now we're all doing the little box thing in the back. Oh, it has changed us, I'm telling you. And we've all just gone downhill so fast. It's amazing, isn't it? And we're canceling Sunday night service. I'm just telling you, we are in trouble. It's just, I'm cracking up about it. And who knew when this year started we'd face all this stuff. But my goodness, the Lord's so good, isn't he? And he's walked with us, and he's taking care of us, and we are blessed. So thank you, church, for coming. And you that have joined us online, thank you for joining us online. Thank you, Pastor, for having us again in the church. And our fellowship with pastors has been special and a blessing. And thank you so much for your kindness, even your giving you that gave towards our offering this week. We don't take that for granted. Beth and I have been doing this 26 years, and we have lived for 26 years on whatever God's people give. And quite frankly, God's people treat us really well. We're so blessed. And we're not the wealthiest people if you're talking finances, but we are ridiculously wealthy if you're talking blessings. And God's been so good to us, and I'm just so thankful that we could serve you. Do pray for us, and not only pray for us tomorrow while we travel, but if you'd like to join our prayer team, you can find us online, evangelistdaveyoung.com. And on the first page it'll open, you'll see a little button there where you can sign up for the newsletter. Put your email in there. We'll include you in our email. And we have our ministry under the Dave Young Evangelistic Association. Mike Self is also under our ministry. You'll probably hear from him when you sign up. He does our ministry in India and primarily lives in India. And we've got several ministries going on. We have a college in the Philippines that we helped start. I'm doing less and less with the college as it's becoming more self-supporting, but I still serve on the board of directors, and I speak there periodically. We started with first year 31 students, and when the next semester opens, with all that's going on, we anticipate having 500 plus this coming next semester. And we're training folks to preach the gospel and to plant churches. And it's amazing. I grew up in a little town in East Tennessee on a little farm. My dad was a farmer and a factory worker, and I never dreamed I'd get to do what I get to do. And I didn't travel much at all. We didn't go far from the home when I was a boy, and I've been able to travel all over the world and preach the gospel. I'm just delighted and overwhelmed and awed that God's been so good to me. And so thank you for treating us so kindly and for letting us be a part of your life. Remember our podcast as well. You can find our website, evangelistdaveyoung.com. You can find our podcast, keepingityoungpodcast.com. And you can listen there. If you do podcasting at all, any podcast that you download app-wise, you'll find Keeping It Young on there. We've tried to cover every one of them. If there's one we're not covering, we don't know it. But we have them, we're on all of them as far as I know. And Beth and I'd be happy if you joined us. We just talk each week about marriage, family, and ministry life. And about 20-25 minutes each week. So if we can serve you, be a blessing to you, and a help to you, reach out. All right? Are you in James chapter 4? Did you know that the theme verse in James is in chapter 4? James chapter 4, the first sentence of verse 8 is the theme of this book. Do you know the first sentence of verse 8? James 4:8. Do you know it? Simple, isn't it? Draw nigh to God, and He will draw nigh to you. Well, that's not the end of the verse, but that's the theme of the message tonight. It's a revival theme. It's a revival book. It's a revival message. The revival theme here is if you'll draw close to God, He'll draw close to you. That's pretty simple, isn't it? You don't have to go to Bible college to understand that. You don't have to be saved a long time to understand that. You don't have to have a doctorate of theology to understand that. If you got half a brain, you can understand that, can't you? You draw nigh to God. Here's what He'll do. He'll draw nigh to you. Are you aware of the fact that during this COVID-19 situation and all that's going on in our land, really we've struggled spiritually? Our hearts have gotten colder. We've gotten complacent. We've been fearful. We've been uneasy. Our churches have been uneasy. We've often failed to be soul winners. Many of us haven't witnessed anybody in weeks. We've not worshiped much in weeks. I mean, I know we had to be online, and our family was online for the 10 weeks we were home, and we did it. We it's our church. We're going to do it. But there's just something different about sitting in a living room with your feet propped up in your recliner watching Pastor preach. There's just something different about that. And it's hard enough to stay awake when you're sitting straight up in a church pew, isn't it? But when you're sitting back in that recliner, we just are in need of revival. And let's talk about that a little bit tonight. Here's an incredible truth. Draw nigh to God. Draw nigh to God. Draw nigh to God. And He will draw nigh to you. Here's an incredible truth. God desires to be close to you and wants you to be close to Him. How many thank God for that truth? God wants to be near to you. He wants you to be near to Him. God wants closeness. Have you ever seen two teens falling in love? You ever seen that happen? You ever seen two teens fall in love, or even just two people fall in love? And boy, they get close, don't they? You ever seen two teens and you thought they were too close? You ever seen that happen? How many of y'all have ever seen it where they are too close? You ever seen that? I want to tell you, you'll never see that with God. You will never get too close to God. You can't do it. You just cannot do it. You cannot get too close to God. Sometimes people get too close to you when you travel. I get to go to Baptist churches every week of my life, and in every church often will have, unique people in it. Are y'all that way at all? Yeah, I'm being grown behind there, aren't I? Every church has some unique people in it. I heard a preacher say one time, he said, the gospel light can sure attract some strange bugs. And when you travel with me from church to church, you'll find it's the truth. You'd meet some real unusual people. And sometimes one of the marks of unusual people is that when they talk to you, they get real close. Some of y'all know somebody like that. When they want to talk to you, they want your undivided attention, and they'll get real close. My boys always laugh about a guy we know in Alabama. And he's the sweetest man in the world. He's just so sweet. And he's the nicest guy in the world. And you can't understand him. He not only speaks a foreign language. He's from Alabama. He also I don't know if he has a lisp or something, but he really is a little hard to understand. But when he talks to you, he'll get real close to you. And he's not real big, at least this way. But he's a little big this way. And so he's got a little bit of a belly, and when he talks to you, he'll get real close. And my boys always laugh because he'll get close enough and his belly rubs up against yours. And so my boys, they always hate when they see him coming because they're like, his belly was touching mine. And he's the sweetest guy in the world, and I wouldn't make fun of him at all. He loves the Lord, he's a godly man, but he gets a little too close for comfort. I just want to tell you tonight, you can't get too close to God. Amen. And God wants to be very near to you. Let's talk about revival a little bit tonight. What in the world is a revival? What does the word revival mean? I suppose if I open the floor here for questions, we get a lot of definitions with me. What in the world does a revival mean? It's about life. It's about new life. It's about an awakening. North Carolina, you ought to study North Carolina church history because North Carolina has some famous revival history. Did you all know that? Revival came to North Carolina. The Bible Belt was birthed in some of these hills and valleys and mountains around here. And churches were planted and revivals took place down in Virginia and North Carolina. And eventually Daniel Boone's Cumberland Gap opened the way for Tennessee to have revival. And Tennessee's oldest Baptist church, just across those ridges. And it's still going strong. A great church. Buffalo Ridge Baptist Church in Great Tennessee. All because there was a revival. Revival that has occurred hundreds of years ago is still impacting us in our generation. We have religious freedom because revival came to this country. Amen. We enjoy our freedoms, and revivals have a lot to do with it. Baptist revivals especially believed in the separation of church and state. A lot of the things we take for granted. Our religious liberties, our religious freedom, the right for anybody to worship as they deem fit and proper really was because of Baptist revivals. So I believe in revivals. And here's how I would define a revival for the service tonight. I would define it with 3 words. Now if you take your notes, write these down. Did you know that a revival is a restoration? When he says draw nigh to God and he'll draw nigh to you, so a revival, a restoration. That's a good revival word. The word restoration implies that something needs to be restored. Does that make sense? Something needs to be restored. How many find that ever be true in your life? You know, I ought to be a better soul winner. I need to restore my soul winning. Was there ever a time in your life when you witnessed to more people than you do now? Was there ever a time in your life when you prayed more than you do now? Was there ever a time in your life that you were more on fire for God than you are tonight? Was there ever a time in your life when you loved preaching in church and worship more than you do now? Then you need to be restored. If the answer to that is, well, yeah, there was a time when I was closer to God, then you need revival, a restoration. It's like working out. Some of you young men here in the room, young ladies, when you start a workout program, or a young person goes back to school in the fall and they start back in their sport team, they're going to work out again. And what happens when you start a workout program is you tear the muscles down. And the next thing you know, you wake up the next morning and you hurt in places you did not know you existed. And you roll out of bed and you feel in pain. Well, what's happening there is your muscles need to be restored. You've torn them down. Now you got to restore them. You got to bring them back. It's like an old car. How many of y'all into old cars? Anybody here like old cars? Restored old cars? I had a friend who did some work for a guy some years ago. And after he got done working for him, the guy owed him $6,000 and didn't have the money to pay him. And he's a body guy. He works in a body shop, owns a body shop, and repairs cars after they've been wrecked and so forth. And so this old man said to my buddy, I don't have the money to pay you right now, but I'll give you a down payment. I got an old Corvette over here in the field, and it's grown up all around it, and it's rusty, and I'll give it to you. Maybe you can restore it, or maybe you can sell it for parts, but it's kind of my down payment till I can pay you. So he gave my friend this Corvette, and he pulled it out. It was a convertible, and the top had rotted, and water was inside, and it was molded, and the floor was damp and dirty, and the car was rusty, and it just was a mess. But my friend just took his time. When he had a few hours here and there, he sand on it, and he finally got it painted Corvette red, and had some white on it, and he put new tires on it, and got the rust off the wheels, and he replaced the undercarriage, and he welded some pieces back together, and put the new mufflers on it, and got the engine restored and chromed, and he got a top for it, and put in new Corvette seats, and I don't know, put $10,000 or $15,000 into it, and had a beautiful Corvette. And one day somebody said, you ought to take that to the Corvette show. So he took it to the Corvette show, and after he had restored it all, got it down to the Corvette show somewhere, and this guy there from the Corvette headquarters, going around looking at Corvettes, stopped and gave that one a good look over, and raised the hood, and ran some numbers that was printed on one of the fenders, and crawled up under it, looked up some other numbers, and he said to my friend, where in the world did you get this Corvette? And he said, well, I got it out of a field, the guy gave it to me. And he said, really, are you serious? And he said, yeah. And he said, well, where'd you get all the parts for it? And he said, well, I called the Corvette place with numbers, and they sent them to me. And he said, well, this is really interesting. He said, let me make a few phone calls. And he made a few phone calls, and he came back later, and he said, I got some big news for you. He said, this Corvette is one of a kind. We've lost track of it. Only 3 of them were made. One was totaled. We don't know where the other one is. And yours is the first one we found out of 3 that were built. This is one of the 3. And he said, I got some good news for you. He said, your car's worth $500,000. And I thought, man, I'd buy that. That'd be half my savings. And I don't know what in the world I can do with that, you know. And he had this Corvette. He's just a country guy, $500,000 car. And he says, you got to come see it. I went over to see it, and the keys in it. It's just sitting in his garage. He said, there it is. And no big deal to him, just $500,000, I guess. But he's just old country boy, and he didn't care. You know, I can take it for a spin if you want. I'm not driving that. And but my goodness, it was a beautiful car. He passed away, and I guess his wife sold it, and she could have donated it to her favorite evangelist, but she's not right with God. And so I was a little upset about that. God love her. But here's what he did. He took that piece of junk and restored it. I don't mean to make, you know, anything bad towards you, but the fact of the matter is all of us need restoration in our lives. Sometimes we allow junk into our life, don't we? Sometimes we get cold-hearted. We get complacent. Here's a revival. It's a restoration. It's saying, okay, Lord, things aren't what they ought to be, and I got to come back to you, and I want to be right with you. You got to restore me. That's the first word I want to show you. The second word is the word renewal. Here's what a revival is. It's a restoration. Drawn out of God, He'll draw out of you. It's about restoration. Secondly, it's about renewal. The word renewal means bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. We got to bring it back. We got to come back. We got to, you know, restore it. We got to renew it. Bring it back. It's like fashion. How many of y'all are old enough to remember bell-bottom pants? How many of y'all old enough to remember that? Did you know they're coming back? I saw the other day in a news report, bell-bottom pants are coming back. How many of y'all agree that we need to pray harder than we've ever been praying before? Bell-bottom. How many of y'all own some? Still got them in the closet? Bring them out. You're going to be in style. And they're on their way back. It's a renewal. It comes back. It's like fashion. It just comes back. I saw something the other day that kind of caught me off guard. Ladies, you'll be glad to know that jumpers are coming back. Jumpers are coming back in style. I'm just telling you. Son, you can marry your girl. Where's jumpers? I'm telling you. They're coming back in style. The cool girls are wearing them now. And who would have thought? It was a renewal. It's a renewal. Listen, if you're going to have revival, you need to be renewed. How long has it been since you just sensed God renewing your heart? Where your heart was warmed again? How long has it been since your heart was moved? I'm talking about spiritual things. You know, it's easy to get cold when we hear so amazing grace, how sweet the sound, and goes in one ear and out the other. When's the last time your heart was moved that you were a sinner on the road to hell and Jesus Christ came into your life and turned your world upside down and you've never been the same? We get over that, don't we? We need a renewal in our life. I preached a revival in Somerville, Alabama several years ago, and there was, the church had just gone through a terrible situation. Their pastor had to resign over an issue. The church could have blown apart, and 4 weeks after his resignation under a massive problem, I was scheduled to preach a revival. And I thought I was going to cancel. There's no reason to go. This church is going to fall apart. The deacon board called me and said, you can't cancel the revival. If they're serving an hour, we need revival. It's now. And we don't have a pastor here, but we'll do all we can to help have revival. And I got to tell you, those deacons did a good job. We had big crowds. We had souls saved. We had phenomenal services. And that church had revival. And it's still going strong. God really blessed. That's where St. Louis is now. And man, did we have a great revival. There was a man in that church that came every night. He'd just gotten out of prison. Drugs had messed up his life. And he had been in prison. And now he's out of prison. And somebody was bringing him to the revival. And Thursday night, he should have gotten saved. And he didn't. I mean, it was just one of those services where you knew God was there. Others got saved that night. We had people down the aisle getting saved, and he should have gotten saved. He wouldn't do it. And I was burdened about it. I'm telling you, I was burdened about it because he should have gotten saved, and he didn't get saved. And where I was preaching on the pulpit of the church auditorium, right behind the baptistry behind me, just go through that wall, my RV was right behind the baptistry in the parking lot, right there behind the church. So when I got done preaching that night, I got done with the invitation, others had gotten saved. I said to the crowd, I said, now look, somebody here should have gotten saved tonight, you didn't get saved, but you're going to go home and you can't sleep. And God's going to keep you up tonight. You're on the road to hell, and you should have gotten saved, you didn't get saved. But I said, look, you can't sleep, get out of bed, get over here, knock on my trailer door. It's right here behind this wall. That's what I said. Knock on my trailer door, I'll get up and help you to get saved. I think I meant it. You know what I mean? I think I did. I just said it, but I think I meant it. And it's probably a good thing I did, because early the next morning, somebody up tore our wall. I mean, that RV, boom, 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 pounded on the wall, that RV. And we all jumped out of our socks, you know, and I ran to the door, and there was that guy, just got out of prison, messed up with drugs, his life's a shambles, and he's in there, he's crying like a baby, he's got snot running everywhere. And the guy's just, you know, bawling his eyes out. Brother Young, he said, I can't sleep, I gotta get saved. And what had happened is actually he'd gone to work. He couldn't sleep, so he went to work. And he got to work, and he just was a mess. And finally his boss said, what in the world is wrong with you? And he said, well, I went to revival last night, and I think I should have gone up there and gotten saved, and I did. And his boss said, well, you go take care of that, because you're no good here. You get that taken care of. And so he left work and came over to my trailer, and he got saved on the parking lot. Well, a few years later, I went back to that church for revival. And I wish you could have been there. The choir sang that Sunday night, or I think it was Sunday night or Monday night in the revival. And that man who was in prison, that man whose life was a shambles, he's now saved, he's now married, he's now the director of their Reformers Unanimous Ministry, and he's standing on the front row singing in the choir. And you know how choirs are. How many of y'all sing in the choir? You ever sing in the choir? You know how we do in the choir? We just sing. We stand there, we sing our song, and you know, different churches are different. You know, some are more, you know, woo, and professional, and some, you know, just let her fly. I don't know how y'all do it around here. But this church was just singing, and they were singing about being forgiven, and about being clean, and about being forgiven, and about being clean, and about being forgiven, and about being clean, and you know, about what God can do in a life. And I'm just watching the choir sing. I was on the front row watching the choir singing, and my heart started getting blessed, because I was watching that guy who had gotten out of prison, and who had gotten saved, and who had seen the power of God change his life. And the next thing you know, he's on the front row, and he's singing, he starts doing this. He's singing, and the next thing you know, he's doing this while he's singing. And the next thing you know, he's crying like a baby, and I'm telling you, he just had no idea we were there. He was just rejoicing in the Lord. I'm saying to you, church, how long has it been since your heart was that warm? Since you're not just saved, you're on your way to heaven, downright excited about being saved. Amen. This is a renewal. You know what a revival is? It's when God restores me. It's when God renews me. There's one more word here that I share with you. It's when God refreshes me. That's an awesome word, refresh. It's a good word, refreshment. You know that word, refreshment? Think of a hot, muggy, tired kind of day. You've worked hard, you're worn out, you're hot, you're sweaty, you've given it all you got. You come in and you get refreshment. I don't know what your refreshment is. Cold glass of water, sweet tea, unsweet tea if you're not right with God. Diet Dr. Pepper. I don't know what your refreshment is. I like when I'm home and my wife has sliced and chopped up, you know, little pieces of watermelon cold in the refrigerator. Amen. And come in after a hot, muggy day. It's refreshing. We live in Florida, and we get the humidity. I don't know why, but I like it. When you go out working out in humidity, it's a double workout, because you not only work out your muscles, you sweat off 10 or 15 minutes. Just walk out in that humidity. Y'all know humidity in North Carolina, don't you? Humidity, I'm telling you, heat is of God. Did y'all know that? You ought to thank God for heat. You that like the cold need revival. The cold is a result of the fall. I'm telling you, it's the truth. I can prove that biblically. In the Garden of Eden, it was warm. It's the truth. There was no sin. It was warm. I can tell you that's the truth because they weren't wearing clothes. It had to be warm. There's no doubt about it. What happened as soon as sin entered the world? You know what happened? As soon as sin entered the world, it got cold. God had to come down and kill an animal and clothe them with furs. I'm just telling you, there's proof here. I can't prove that theologically, but I think I'm right. And on a hot, muggy day, you go outside, and all of a sudden you're restored, you're renewed, you're refreshed. You know what God wants to do in our lives in this hour? He wants to refresh us. Amen. To just, again, fill us with joy. How long has it been since you had the joy of the Lord? How long has it been since you sensed the power of God in your life? How long has it been since you had some awe in your heart? Some wow. Can I use that word? Some wow. I had a preacher friend Ohio, and when you preach, you know how pastors are, preachers, they all have different terminologies. I got one preacher friend, he says, amen, amen, amen. And I know one southern preacher, he says, amen, amen, amen. And he puts an H in the front of it. Amen, he says. And we got another friend down in Louisiana, when you preach, he'll say, that's good stuff. That's good stuff, he'll say. But this preacher in Ohio, you'll be preaching along, you quote the Word of God. God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. And he'll say this out loud. He'll say, wow. Wow. First time I was there and he said that, I was preaching Sunday morning, big crowd, big old, round kind of shaped auditorium and people all over. I was preaching the gospel and I quoted some verse behind me on the platform. He says it out loud. He says, wow. And it kind of threw me a little bit. I thought, did he just say wow? That's not in the Bible. What's wrong with him? Doesn't he know hallelujah's in there? Praise God's in there. but wow. But man, the more I thought on it, the more I liked it. How long has it been since you were wowed by the things of God? You young people here tonight, you teenagers and boys and girls, you ought to have some wow in your heart about Christianity. Jesus died on the cross for your sins and was buried, and He was raised from the dead. The Bible is the living Word of God. Jesus Christ is alive. He has been risen from the dead. He is coming again to this earth. There is hope for our generation. Jesus is coming again. There ought to be some wow in your life. That's revival. That's refreshment. Now the question is, how do you get it? We know what it is. It's a restoration. It's a renewal. It's a refreshing. In the text, it gives us 4 ingredients necessary to have a revival. If you got James chapter 4, look at verse 6 and 7, 8, 9. These are simple right here, just little nuggets of truth. In James chapter 4 and verse 6, but He giveth more grace. Wherefore He said, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the, what's the next word? To the humble. How many of you are aware of the fact that humility is essential for revival? There's got to be humility. Pride will destroy revival. When my way or the highway, that's pride. Selfishness, that's pride. Arrogance, that's pride. Condescending spirit, that's pride. A critical attitude, that's pride. Judging, that's pride. When I'm walking in the flesh, that's pride. It's about me. The middle letter in the word pride is I. It's I. The middle letter in the word revival is also I. You can live by pride and miss revival. My way, I don't need it, I'm okay, I'm good, I'm fine, leave me alone. Or you can humble yourself and say, God, I sure wish I were more on fire for you. God, I'm sorry that I don't have your power in my life and I haven't seen anybody saved in years. Lord, I'm ashamed of the fact that I don't remember the last time I tried to get somebody to come to church so they'd get saved. Lord, I'm ashamed of the fact that I don't remember the last time I gave somebody a gospel tract. God, I'm sorry that I'm a lousy husband and I don't love my wife the way Christ loved His church. Lord, I'm embarrassed of the fact that my tongue is so sharp and I'm so critical and I'm so down and negative all the time. I'm ashamed of how I live my Christian life. I don't have any joy. I don't have any victory. I don't have any peace. I'm so down. I'm so discouraged by the things of the world. I'm frustrated. I'm irritated. I don't trust you. I got to humble myself if I'm going to have revival. I've got to lower myself. That's the word humility. I lower myself. The Bible says God resists the proud. That's the opposite of humility. God stiff arms the proud. I'm not blessing a church full of pride. I'm not blessing a man whose life is full of pride. I'm not going to use a person whose life is filled with pride. You got to humble yourself. Humility's practical. It admits, when things aren't right, things aren't well. My mom and dad got saved in the Monday night revival service when I was in kindergarten. I alluded to it the other night because that's the night He threw away our television. How many ever heard that story? My dad got saved that night. I don't just remember that night because he threw away the television. I also remember that night because the way my daddy got saved was unusual. The evangelist preached the gospel. We were there, I don't know, maybe 200 or 300 of us in that auditorium. And we were right on the aisle, about 5 or 6 rows from the back, on this side of a 2 rows, building. And we're on this side, and the evangelist preached that night. I remember well. I was in kindergarten. I can still see that evangelist in my mind. I remember the service. I was there. I was just in kindergarten. I remember. When he got done preaching, he does what a lot of evangelists will do. You've seen preachers do this. He said, now let's bow our heads and close our eyes for prayer. When the evangelist said those words in that Monday night service, my father stood up and interrupted the invitation. Now that may not mean as much to you, except that my dad's an uneducated man. My dad, I think, finished the 8th grade. He's very shy. He's a little backward. Now, he'll talk to you. He'll talk to you one-on-one like it's nothing. But my dad would never do what I'm doing. My dad's never taught a Sunday school class in his life. I don't think I've ever heard my dad give testimony. He's just a quiet, reserved kind of man. But the evangelist preached the gospel and said, now bow your head and close your eyes for prayer. Everybody did. You know Baptists are pretty compliant at that time. They all put their heads down like this. And my dad stood up, and I remember this. It's like it was just my dad said out loud, he said, excuse me. Excuse me. And you know Baptists now are cheating. Nobody learned, what in the world is going on. And they're all trying to keep their head down. And she got, what in the world, And I was a little boy in kindergarten. I remember that evangelist, he looked a little, what's going on here? And my dad said out loud to the evangelist, he said, I want to get saved. He said, can I get saved right now? And the evangelist said, no. But we'll sing just as I am in a few moments, and then you can, okay? He didn't say that. I just made that part up. But, my dad, can I get saved right now? And the evangelist said, yes, sir. My dad came down the aisle. Nailed a mourner's bench. How many of y'all old enough to remember mourner's bench? He nailed in a mourner's bench, and my daddy got saved, came home that night, threw away our television. You remember that story I told you about Granny Young, my grandmother, and the butcher knife, and the, sauerkraut on the ceiling? Well, my Granny Young, about 2 years later, maybe not even that long, maybe a year later, split the church we were attending because she got mad at the pastor's wife. It was nasty, I remember. First time I ever heard my granny cuss was when I was in her house and the preacher came to visit her about it. She cussed him and ordered him out of her house. And I'm serious as a heart attack. That's what happened. And he left the house. My parents left the church. And we were out of church for several years. We went somewhere Sunday mornings most of the time. And I should have gotten saved during those years. But we didn't have a home church. We went over yonder a while, and over there a while, and over here a while, and drove over there a while. And we were just miserable spiritually. Things weren't well spiritually. Things weren't well. It's ridiculous looking back at it. We didn't go to church, but we didn't do movies either. We were strict as the day is long, not even in church. My mama didn't wear pants, didn't cut her hair, didn't wear makeup, didn't wear jewelry. But we didn't go to church either. Now tell me there's something wrong there, isn't there? We didn't do anything. We didn't have television, we didn't go to church either. We didn't even celebrate Christmas because that was a pagan holiday. My parents heard some evangelist somewhere in the mountains preach that you shouldn't have a Christmas tree, and that Christmas came out of a pagan holiday, and so we stopped celebrating Christmas. I mean, it was just, we didn't go to church either. But I remember one day my dad came home and he said, hey, we have a revival, tent revival in town, do you want to go? My mom said, sure. So we all got dressed, got in the car, drove to the tent revival. And you ever been in a service? You ever been in a service where the preacher's preaching and he's nailing somebody's hide to the wall and you know who they are? And you kind of feel sorry for them? That preacher was nailing my parents' hide to the wall that night. I was in the 6th or 7th grade, and it was brutal. I'm telling you, he was leaning over the pulpit and he said, you're saved on your way to heaven. Your kids don't even have a home church. You don't have a family altar. He said, you're a bunch of sorry, low-down excuse for Christians. You don't get right with God, God's going to rain down judgment on your family. Your kids will go to hell, and your grandkids are going. He was brutal. Lightning didn't flash, and thunder didn't roll, and my daddy did not interrupt the invitation. But we got in the car to go home. My dad's one of those mountain people. You've met some just like him. When he's in a hurry, he drives 45 miles an hour. How many of y'all know somebody like that? That's my dad. My dad, if you go through East Tennessee and you get behind a guy going about 40 on the interstate, be nice. That could be my father. And we got in the car. We're not a real talkative family and not a real outwardly emotional family. We were real quiet, country folks. And my dad's driving home. I'm still me and my brother and sister in the back seat. And my dad says to my mom, we're on the way home after that revival service, he said, Bobby, she said, mm-hmm. He said, I reckon we're going to have to get back in church. My mama said, yeah. That was the end of the conversation. That was all I was ever saying. I reckon we're going to get back in church. Yeah. And we did. We did. My dad had to humble himself. Things aren't well in my life. I'm not the dad I ought to be. I'm a sorry excuse for a Christian. I don't have victory and joy in God's power in my life. He had to humble himself. Changed our family. I got saved because my dad humbled himself and had revival. God called me to preach because my dad humbled himself and had revival. My sister got saved. My sister married a Christian man and raised 2 kids, and her daughter's a missionary in Liechtenstein with her husband and little girl named Ruth. I got saved, married a Christian lady. We got a son who's a pastor in California, and a daughter who's on staff at a church in California with her husband. And another one preparing for the ministry, and one probably going to, and because somebody humbled themselves. Drawing nigh to God starts with humility. God, I wish I had greater victory, and I don't, and I'm ashamed of that. Lord, I wish I weren't so down and depressed and discouraged and frustrated and irritated all the time. I'm ashamed of that. That's humility. He says right here, God gives grace to the humble. Don't be afraid of humility. It brings God's grace into your life. And I love what he said. He'll give more grace. You need grace, he'll give it, and he'll give more. He gives more than you need. I'll tell you, you'll never, ever reach the end of the grace of God. It starts with humility. There's a second word here. I got to close here in a few moments. The second word's in verse 7. Here in verse 6, you see the word humble or humility. In verse 7, look at verse 7. Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. The first revival word in this little section is the word humility. The second revival word is the word submission. It says, okay, God, I'm wrong, but you're right. The word submission is to arrange under authority. It's to recognize and admit the truth. Be honest now. When's the last time you recognized your genuine spiritual condition and admitted the truth about it? How long has it been since you really stopped and said, okay, Lord, how am I doing as a man? Am I right with you? Am I where you'd have me to be? Am I doing your will? Am I right where you'd have me? God, am I honoring to you? Is everything well in my life? Submission is when I recognize the truth and I surrender to it. Okay, Lord, you're right. I'm not the daddy I ought to be. Lord, you're right. I'm not the husband I ought to be. Lord, I'm not the soul winner I ought to be. Oh, Lord, I don't even carry tracts anymore. I don't give out tracts, and I don't witness to anybody. And I don't remember last time I invited somebody to go to church with me. And my neighbors, I haven't talked to my neighbors about you, God, in for years. And I'm ashamed of that, Lord. I recognize that I'm not where I ought to be, and I want to be. That's submission. Oh, Lord, you're right. I'm not right. You're right. I'm sorry, Lord. I've gotten careless about my TV, and I see that now, and I'm sorry. That's humility and submission at play right there. Lord, I didn't realize how little joy I had. And I know you said that the fruit of the Spirit is love and joy, and I don't have any joy. Lord, I don't have any joy. I'm frustrated. I'm just always on edge. I'm always down. And Lord, I see my need. I see where I am. Submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he'll flee. The enemy's against you. We learned that the other night, didn't we? And he'll try to keep you from having revival. He doesn't care if you go to church just as long as you don't have any victory in your life. He doesn't even care if you tithe just as long as you don't have a real good, genuine Christian home. You can give all the money you want to give as long as he's okay with that, just as long as you don't have any personal victory, personal joy. You don't raise your kids for the Lord, and you're not red hot on fire and trying to win souls. He doesn't care about that. But if you and I stop and say, Lord, show me where I am. Help me to see what's wrong in my life. Show me what I ought to change. I'm on the road of humility. I'm on the road of submission. And that leads us to verse 8. Draw nigh to God, and he'll draw nigh to you. Look at what he says there. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded. The first word is humility. That's in verse 6. The second word is submission. You find that in verse 7. The third word is cleansing. You find that in verse 8. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded. You do know he's talking to believers there, don't you? I read one commentator said he was talking to, that's a verse for sinners. No, it's not. The book of James was written to believers who needed revival. He's saying to those of us who are saved, clean it up. Josh and I had a Corvette. It would be a clean one, wouldn't it, Josh? It would be clean. I like clean. Clean is important. I like clean food. How many of y'all say into that? Amen. You ever gone out to eat and found somebody else's hair in your food? How many of y'all that bothers you? How many of y'all something that bothers you? If you find somebody else's hair in your food, that bothers you, doesn't it? It's bad enough if it's yours. But if it's somebody else's, that's worse. And clean is important. You ever sat down at a restaurant and had somebody else's food on your fork? It's just not right to eat that, because you shouldn't eat food you haven't paid for. Ask for a clean fork. Don't you eat somebody else's food. That's not yours. Clean is awesome. I'm going with me on that. Amen. Clean is important. I heard this story about this little boy. And his daddy said to him, said, all right, son, time to go to bed. Run down the hallway there and brush your teeth, and I'll come tuck you in. Well, Dad got distracted. And he's doing whatever he's doing. All of a sudden, you realize, what's he doing in there? He's been in the bathroom for a long time. So Dad jumped up and ran down the hallway. And the little boy looked at the bathroom door. The little boy was in the bathroom. He had his daddy's toothbrush. And he was brushing their dog's teeth. And Daddy's toothbrush, he's just brushing their dog's teeth. And Dad was mortified. Dad said, son, you can't do that. And the little boy said, Dad, I've been doing it for 3 weeks. Now that's pretty nasty right there, isn't it? Wouldn't you hate to be that daddy? See, the point is clean is important. How many of you are aware of the fact that clean is important to God? Are you aware of that? I don't mean to harp on this, but I'm just telling you, it matters what we watch on television. It matters what we look at on the internet. It matters. Clean is important to God. Sometimes I wonder in our generation, do you suppose we're farther from God than we think we are? We got beautiful facilities. I preach in fundamental Baptist churches all over the country. 46 states so far. Beautiful buildings we have. Nice people. But we have so little revival. You'd be hard-pressed to find in the average fundamental Baptist church a new convert. Somebody just got saved. Just got set free from sin, born again, on their way to heaven, and happy about it. Not many churches have new converts in our movement. I don't mean this to be mean. These are the best and worst days of my life. Best and worst, ministry-wise. I'm at the age right now where I'm getting to preach in the biggest churches of our movement. They're all so smaller than they've ever been. Every one of them. Rarely I'll be in a church that's growing. It's bigger than it used to be. And sometimes they're bigger than they used to be because the church across town split and half the crowd came over and joined them. Well, that does happen, and sometimes it needs that. I get that. But when's the last time you walked into an independent Baptist church and there were new converts there? So they just got saved, just got baptized, they're growing in the Lord. Look at that family member just got saved, they just got baptized, they're growing in the Lord. Look at that family, and we led them to Jesus. Then that family right there, Brother so-and-so brought them to church and they got saved. And look what God's doing in their life. That's unheard of in Baptist churches. I'm telling you, I believe we're farther from God than we think we are. If it were up to you for the church to see souls saved, if it were up to you, what are the chances somebody gets saved this year in your church? If it were up to me for folks to be saved in my church, what is the chance somebody gets saved in my church? Those are sobering questions, but they're worth our answering. Because if I'm going to have revival, I got to get clean. I got to say, God, this isn't right, and I'm going to make it right. Lord, I've got sin in my life, and it may be the sin of omission. I ought to be a soul winner, and I'm not. I ought to have a prayer life, and I don't. I ought to be a giver, and I'm not. I ought to make changes, and I need to make changes now. God, things aren't well. Here's how revival comes, with humility, with submission, with cleansing. There's one more word. I find in verse 9. The word's not there, but the thought is. Look at verse 9. Verse 9 says, be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness. Now, isn't that an encouraging, uplifting verse? I don't think I've ever gone to a church. You know, churches have signs out front like y'all do, and oftentimes churches put verses on their church sign. I've never one time in all my years of traveling this land ever seen a church that had that verse on the sign. Never seen it. I've never seen a church post, be afflicted and mourn and weep and let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness. But that's an essential part of having revival. You know what I learned from it? The word serious. There's the word humility in verse 6. There's the word submission in verse 7. There's the concept of cleansing in verse 8. There's the concept of getting serious in verse 9. Are you serious? Are you serious about revival? Are you serious about seeing souls saved in Asheville, North Carolina? Are you serious about your family having revival? Your brother getting saved? Your sister getting saved? Your daddy getting saved? Your mommy getting saved? Are you serious about your grandfather and grandmother getting saved? Are you serious about winning your children to Christ? Amen. Are you serious about your grandchildren getting saved and following God? Are you serious about your church growing, impacting Asheville? Are you serious about the joy of the Lord, about things being right in your home so that your kids can have a genuine Christian family? He says, let your laughter be turned to mourning. There's no doubt about it. There's nothing wrong with joy and happiness. Nothing wrong with that at all. I read in my Bible in the book of Timothy that God richly gives us all things to enjoy. There's no doubt about it that the joy of the Lord is our strength. There is no doubt about it that the fruit of the Spirit is love and joy. There is no doubt about it that a merry heart doeth good like a medicine. There is no doubt about it that God is okay with joy and happiness, but there's a time in our lives when we've got to stop and say, Lord, whoa, hold on a minute, hold on. It's time to get serious. My family's growing up and they don't know God. Our church doesn't see anybody saved. We don't go to church and see worship and the power of God. We can't get our prayers answered. We don't see any miracles anymore. When's the last time you saw somebody healed because you prayed about it? When's the last time you saw, no doubt about it, genuine, bona fide, divine miracle? The church cried out to God, and God did something so dramatic that every teenager in the building knew that God was alive and real. Well, when are we going to get serious about it? When are we going to get serious and say, we've got to stop playing church? We've got to stop just getting in our car and showing up at church and sitting in our pew and comfortably singing our hymns and walking out and saying, boy, that was a nice service, wasn't it? We've got to get serious about the fact that we're not impacting Asheville, North Carolina. And nobody's getting saved because of me. We don't have any evidence that God is alive because we had a prayer meeting and it changed things. You know, God intends for prayer to get things done, doesn't he? You wouldn't agree with this man theologically on every issue, but the pastor of the Brooklyn Tabernacle in Brooklyn, New York, was a guy named Jim Cymbala. And Jim Cymbala, several years ago, preached at the National Quartet Convention in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, to several thousands of people there to hear Southern gospel music. And he preached on prayer. And here's what he said to the crowd, and I'm paraphrasing, but I'll get it close. He said, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. If your church can pack the building, $25 or $35 or $40 a ticket for a Christian singing group or a Christian comedian, and yet you don't remember the last time you saw a dramatic answer to prayer in your church? Here's what he said. It's time to pull a timeout in your church. It's brutal. Especially the Quartet Convention. There's thousands of people there that paid hundreds of dollars to come to that convention, and he was calling them out on it. And that man's bold. The man was also right. Here's what James is saying to the people of his day. James is saying, don't you know we need revival? Do you know who wrote this book? James, the pastor of the church of Jerusalem. James, who saw revival in his church. They had a 10-day prayer meeting with 120 of them. And the next day, the power of God fell on the day of Pentecost in Jerusalem. 3,000 souls were saved and baptized in that day and added to that church. 3,120 members of that church now. This is that James. A few weeks later, they had this service and preached, and 5,000 men got saved in that meeting. And now they have 8,120 members. Just almost, the Bible just casual about it. Had a 10-day prayer meeting,
3,000 got saved. They had a prayer meeting, 5,000 got saved. The Bible says people got saved every day and added to the church. Every day added to the church. They saw miracles. Peter got locked up in jail. And the church got together and said, oh Lord, you got to set Peter free. Here, it's going to kill him. And God said to an angel, go down there and let that boy out of jail. Angel shows up in the middle of prison. Peter's shackles fall off. He apparently was naked because the angel says, get your clothes on, get your shoes on. They stripped him down, locked him up between two soldiers, and all of a sudden the chains fall off. He puts his clothes on, puts his shoes on, and the angel goes to the doors. The doors open of their own accord. We think we're so technologically savvy. We go down to Walmart and we walk up there and the doors go, They did that in the book of Acts. The first time you'll read that happen is the book of Acts. Those doors just opened of their own accord, and the angel sat Peter out there in the 6th tree. It just happened. That's the church. That's the church, James, pastor. Persecution came to that town. I'll tell you what happened. Persecution came to Jerusalem so severely that people in Jerusalem had to flee. The devil said, I can't stand it. Souls are getting saved and prayers are getting answered. I'm going to destroy that church. He attacked that church, and he attacked that church. And so believers fled Jerusalem by the hundreds. Now they live in Antioch, now they live in Thyatira, some moved to Thessalonica, some went over to Berea, some went over down to Antioch, and they moved all over to Ephesus and Philippi and Galatia and Colossae, and now and the devil said, look, I won. But here's what happened. The folks that moved over to Antioch, they started a church. And the folks that moved to Thessalonica, they started a church. And the folks over in Philippi and over in Ephesus, and now there's churches everywhere. Do you know who James is writing to in the 1st century? All of those believers that left Jerusalem and now live in all these different cities. And here's what's amazing. These believers would have known Jesus, many of them, literally known Jesus. Some of them were there when he was on the cross. Some of them lived in town when he was raised from the dead. It was that real to them. The most startling thing in the world is the reason James wrote this book is because those people, the ones who saw 3,000 saved in one day and 5,000 saved on another day, and Peter divinely, miraculously set free from prison, and people healed by the hundreds, and miracles happened by the hundreds in Jerusalem. Those people in the 1st century were in need of revival. So here's what I'm saying here. Don't feel down that you need revival. Apparently, it's a fairly common need in Christianity to be renewed, to be restored, to be refreshed, to humble ourselves and submit, clean things up, and get serious about the things of God. James is writing to them and says, I got news for you, folks. All you that used to go to my church in Jerusalem, draw nigh to God. He'll draw nigh to you. It's as simple as that. Draw nigh to God. He will. I love the simply, he will. Doesn't say he'll think about it. It says he will. Had a friend in Alabama. I preached from James 4 years ago in his church. When I finished preaching in his Sunday morning service, he got to the platform, said to his church, I just got to tell y'all something. What Brother Young was trying to say to you is this. You lean toward God, he'll walk toward you. You walk toward God, he'll run to you. You run toward God, he'll fly to you. He said, church, you fly to God, you know what he'll do? I'll never forget this. He said, he'll hug your neck. I want to tell you, my friend is right. Church, don't you know there's a God in heaven that wants to be close to me and you? He loves us. He loves his church. He wants our generation to have revival. He wants our churches to be on fire and alive and souls being saved and our prayers being answered. And James 4 says you can have it. Anybody here? Any one of us. So here's the truth as I close this revival. My dear brothers and sisters at Eastside Baptist Church in Asheville, North Carolina, draw nigh to God. He'll draw nigh to you. Some of y'all, are you hungry? Are you hungry to see folks saved in your church and the power of God in your church and prayers answered and families restored and revival happening? Then we've got to humble ourselves, submit, clean things up, and get serious about the things of God. May the Lord help me and you both to do it. Our generation needs the church to have revival. May it be so. Father, thank you for the 4 days I could share your word with our brothers and sisters here in this church. Thank you for every soul that's ever been saved because of this church. Thank you for every life that's been touched because of this church. Thank you for the times we've seen amazing answers to prayer through this church. Lord, what I know about this church is it's your church. This is your church. This is your flock. These are your people. And I believe, Almighty God, with every ounce of my being, that you love your church. You have a message for your church. That your message for the churches of our hour is so simple in this text. We need to draw nigh to you. If we will, you'll draw nigh to us. Lord, help us to believe in revival. Help us to seek your face for revival. Restore us. Encourage us. Strengthen us. Help us to be what we ought to be. Bless your church, Lord. Help this church to see revival days ahead, where the men in this room get on fire for you and witness to all their neighbors, and families here get on fire for you and win their other family members to Christ. Where we pray more than we've ever prayed before, and we see revival come. Oh Lord. Oh Lord, my God, my Lord, please move in our generation. Heal your church, heal our land, forgive our sins. Help us to seriously seek your face till you come and rain righteousness again on your church and on your people. I love you so much, dear God. I'm so thankful that every time I follow this formula into your presence, you've drawn nigh to me. Help my brothers and sisters here to experience your presence just that way. And I sure love you, dear God. So thankful for the few days we had together, the opportunity to teach your word in this church. And my God, I pray these things tonight in the name of your Son and my Savior. Amen. May the Lord bless you, keep you, make his face shine upon you, and give you peace. Pastor, thanks for letting me preach. It's all yours.
Our hope is this, that you don't just say, this was a good revival, it's a good meeting, we heard some good messages. Our desire is that we believe changed. And as a pastor, there's some things in my life that's been renewed because of this week. And I pray there's some things for you that's been renewed and refreshed. And sometimes we do that with computers, don't we? Computer starts running slow, what do? You go in, yes. You defragment, you reboot, and I think sometimes spiritually we start running a little slow. We just need to reboot. And hopefully that's been the case for you. Let's also remember Doug Redding as well. And Doug had MRI, waiting for some of those results.
He's having surgery Wednesday.
He's having surgery this coming Wednesday?
Yeah, at 12 o'clock.
It's coming Wednesday at 12 o'clock. So let's pray that they're able to get everything put back together in such a way that it will all heal the way it needs to. So let's remember them in your prayers as well. All right, I'm going to ask the young family if they would make their way over to the door. We're going to dismiss table number 3 first.